Bird.
All right, we're live. Cage,
we are live.
Go ahead, kick us off. It's been a while.
It's time. Kick us off. Well, we'll give you guys some time to jump in here. You know, we're doing YouTube live, which is fun, but obviously this will be an episode Coffee with Cage. It is my favorite because I get to interact with you guys. Can't get every single one of you on the show, but we will do a good job of naming you and answering your questions for you. So lots of fun stuff going on, man. Lots of fun stuff. We got, Game 7 winding down here. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather fight tonight. We got the second round of the playoffs set, a Harden injury in the Nets series. I mean, just fun stuff going on. Tatis is on pace for like 100 season. And we just got like all kinds of fun stuff to talk about. So
how's your energy? You look a little bit red. You look like you laid out in the sun today.
Oh, got a little sun. No, I mean it's good, man. Coffee with Cage. This is instant energy.
Energy.
Easily my favorite episode we do. Easily.
All right. Well, guys. So when we started the podcast, Cage and I, he always called me like this visionary. He said, "You dream so much. You're in the clouds. Maybe it's time to come down."
I don't know if I use the word visionary. Definitely never use the word visionary.
You're right. You said I'm in the clouds a lot.
Yes, I did.
You're right.
Yes.
I apologize. I take
Not
that
in
back.
a good way. Visionary sounds like I'm putting you up there with Steve Jobs. You're more like, I don't know, like something.
Something. but you're right. He didn't use the word visionary. I apologize. But he said my head's always in the clouds.
That's true.
But I'll tell you, if Cage had a dream, Cage's dream is to do this podcast daily, be paid by the podcast, and get to raise his beautiful kids, Leah and Ian. So this is Ian's birthday weekend. And on behalf of all of us at Luca Nation, we love you, Cage. We love your family. We love Ian. So we have to wish Ian a happy 8th birthday. So tomorrow, guys.
Tomorrow.
June 7th, Ian's going to be 8 years old. And all I ask for you guys, show Cage a little love. He shows up every day. He's kind of living his dream now. And he has a new kind of best friend, virtual best friend in me. So life is. But if you guys could shoot him a DM, say happy birthday. We love you guys. We have a ton of questions.
He's on Instagram. Ian's Card Coloring. He colors cards and stuff. Give him a follow. That would be a cool birthday present. He's got
he changes his username,
but that's
depending
the one.
on the week.
I have to ask. As I just yelled, which one? Ian. It's Ian's Card Review and Ian's Card Coloring. So Ian's Card Coloring. That's what he's checking this week. Send him a happy birthday. He'll be thrilled. Give him a follow. That's even better. A good birthday present from Cage. That'd be awesome.
Guys, we have so much to talk about. I have a confession. I apologize. I felt so bad today. So when I saw the news of Julio Jones potentially going to the Titans, you remember the last week, I think it was last Sunday, we did an episode and I was talking about 3 quarterbacks. And I mentioned Ryan Tannehill, but I took him off. I crossed him off the list. I crossed him off the buy list. His cards are flying through the roof. His cards are going through the roof, both on StarStock and on eBay. So I hope you guys were able to sell into strength, as we say.
Listen, Tannehill, he averages like 133 yards a game. And, the one, maybe 2 games that Julio Jones will be healthy for to line up with Tannehill, he'll bump that average up to like 136 or 137. So
you're not a believer. You're not a believer in this trade.
I think it's worth whatever. The rumors of the trade are like a second and a 5th round pick or something like that. Yeah, I'm a believer in that. I think there's very low risk. He's not. He's locked up. I think for 3 years. He's not making killer money. He's making enough money. It makes sense obviously for both sides. Jones is forcing his way out of there. I imagine the team's front office did whatever they needed to do to get max value. I'm surprised. Some teams didn't offer up more than this. Basically, two-thirds of the teams in the league, if not more, are need a player like that. So.
Your Raiders certainly do.
Well, yeah. I would have loved to see the Raiders. And I would have had them give up a first rounder because the Raiders waste their first round pick on a second round talent every year anyway. So what difference does it make?
All right. Well, let's get into the show. So we just answered cards to the max question. We have 20 questions, probably 25, 30 if some of the people from the live chat in. So it's going to be a busy night for you. How's I know tomorrow's weigh-in Monday. You wanna give people a preview? You had a good week?
No way, man. I had a party yesterday. I had some Burger King. Check this out right here. This is not exactly diet friendly, and I'm slamming those. So we'll see. We'll see what it is tomorrow. Hopefully we didn't go up. For 5 weeks we've gone down. We're down like 23 pounds in 5 weeks. Let's hope we don't go up. That would be good.
Drake's PC, guys, I didn't have a chance to write all the questions, so they're not all going to be featured here. I was watching the Mavs game. Luka went off in the first. Kawhi went off in the second. Drake's PC asks, when you're looking to buy or sell, how do you get accurate current market value of a rare card that hasn't sold in over a year or longer? This might be the only question of the day. We might stay here.
Listen, there's no. So what's fun about it is there's no really right answer on it. If we're talking about like a low pop card that doesn't have a lot of comps, right? Obviously, you got to look for comps, see if somebody sold in an auction. I mean, instead of just doing 130 point or eBay sales, a cool little resource, PWCC. I mean, they auction off a lot of cards that are what you consider low pop. You can go right at the public. You can go right into their website, and they have like their auction. Archives, it's called, and you can search all of their auctions back years to see what the recent sales for it will be like. And Drake, depending on what card it is, if it's like a Prism parallel but low numbered, you can always look at other parallels and similar. Like if you're trying to find a price of a Zion Pulsar green out of 25, you could comp it to a Mojo or a pink Pulsar out of 42 or something like that. One-on-ones, you're going to be out of luck probably. It's going to be difficult. You might want to try to find a one-on-one of a comparable player. And that's the other way to do it. If you can't find a comparable card, find, right, let's just say you have a Luka that's low pop that hasn't come for sale, right? Look at what the multiple between Luka and Trey are. And it's 2-1 or 3-1 or whatever it is. And then find if you can find a sale of a similar card or the same card for Trey. So, in addition to all those ways of looking stuff up, there's always ways to find comps by looking at. You're never going to find the same house, right? But you try to find the same type of house, right? Same 3 bedrooms, 2 bathroom, that kind of stuff. So hopefully that all helps.
When are you buying a house in Mexico?
Soon as they kick you out. I don't want to live any place that'll have you. Forget about it. That's why I'm staying clear of Philadelphia too. No way out. And that's it. They almost made a nice comeback today. We'll hopefully get a question about that. That was fun.
Fast food makes you mean. I like Diet Cage more. At GTSM.high asks, are you buying right now more than ever with the dip or waiting a little more overall? And there's a little clarified question. Before, people would buy the card and then sell other cards to fulfill that payment, if that makes sense. They would kind of buy on borrowed money, knowing that they'll sell their cards in a week or a day. But now with the erratic market, you can't be doing that. So he wanted to do a little clarifier there.
Yeah, so GTSM. So 100%, that second part of the question is very true. There's a lot less of that. And that, that strains the market, right? Because that was part of the reason why people were just, it was continuing to see price go up, because people were moving. And then they knew with some certainty that their cards would be able to sell and they could pay for it, borrowing from yourself almost, knowing that you'd be able to pay yourself back. That liquidity in the market is not there. You don't know whether or not you're able to sell what you have in your possession after you go after it. And, so people are trying to sell what they have now before moving into other things. So that's definitely an important thing to note. As far as the question itself, am I buying more with the dip or waiting? I'm definitely waiting. I'm hoping this is a dip. I've never been one to say I have to time perfectly, right? Like I need to sell at exactly the top. Sure, I'm angry. It's human nature if I don't, but also the same thing applies, right? Like, trying to catch the bottom, trying to time the bottom of a dip is very difficult also, right? You'll find when you think it's a bottom, a lot of times it's not, right? And I don't need to be buying in at the very lowest. I'll watch and wait to see like sustain going back up before I start getting back in. And if I miss, the bottom by 2% or 5% or whatever it is, so be it. I don't have to squeeze exactly at the bottom. I think by doing it that way, I wind up avoiding a false bottom and then buying in and watching it kind of tail back off. So overall, and I think this is just not for this question, overall, for the last couple of months, I have been in much more of a kind of a wait and see attitude, seeing what wait and see position, seeing what happens to the overall market.
Let's keep rocking. Robert's Ono Froman. Cool, I think I said that right.
It's Robert, son of Froman. So Abe Froman was the post that I made, a little sausage king of Chicago. So I like this name, Robert, son of Froman. There we go.
This is a long question.
Or
So
maybe
this
it's
is the
just
beginning.
Robert, son of Froman. I don't know. Robert, son of Roman, maybe. I don't know, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with Froman, Art Froman. I'm going to go with Abe Froman, Sausage King of Chicago. Dude, gouging 46 points.
You want to say something about Luka?
Oh, no.
You look upset. What's wrong? You wanted Luka to beat the Clippers?
No, now I'm reading Robert, son of Roman. All right, well, there we go. I mean, if it was Robert, son of Froman, that would have been even better. But circling a few boxes of non-sports card sets from the 90s that are 150 to 200. After watching a few breaks, I've noticed the cards stick together.
Or bricking, as some would call it. Hearing the cards rip apart from each other gave me anxiety and obviously left a lot of surface damage on each card. I've heard about people sticking the cards in the freezer or hitting them with a blow dryer. Is there a method that Andrew Cage has had success with? Or is this something I shouldn't even bother with given the price of the investment?
It depends on
We've done 10 weeks. You've never got this question.
It's true. That's it. I've never gotten this question, but it depends on the kind of card, right? Some of these cards, they're irreparably harmed already. The ones that have like foil on them and stuff, no matter what you do, that foil has already stuck to the card back on top of it. So I don't care if you hair dryer it. I don't care if you freezer it. I don't care if you do any of those things. You're not going to be able to, to save those cards. It just happens. It is what it is. There are certain cards that brick that are not like foil based. And those I have actually heard. This is funny. This is a great question. I've heard, if you were to, leave them outside, slightly warm the package, you could actually separate those cards. But more of like a card stock type of card. You can actually separate them. That way they don't brick up together. But yeah, I mean, $150, $200 boxes. It's one of those risks that you run. Cards just, they happen to brick together. It's just what happened back in the 90s.
Taylor Trophy asks, is Luka quick? He beats and turns the corner on any defender that guards him.
Baylor Trophy. It's kind of like Taylor Brophy, but
Correct.
Baylor Trophy. I like it. Is Luka quick? Let's see. He beats and turns the corner on any defender that guards him. Luka has very good basketball moves. I would not want to bet on him in a race. Like, I don't want to see what his 40 time is. Like, I'm not putting him up against DK Metcalf or anything like that anytime soon. But he definitely has good basketball instincts, and he's shifty. You know what I mean? Why he beats the defender is, I think, a little less about quickness and more about that he has so many ways to beat a defender, right? Like, when he's facing up, he could step back and take a three. He can go right, he can go left. So, he has the advantage against a defender, most of them. Although you saw, second half of this game, Kawhi again, kind of locked down on him. And, when they double teamed him, he wasn't looking so good. But yeah, I mean, he's basketball quick, if that's a term I'm allowed to coin. He definitely does get around defenders pretty easily.
Hey, just a good one. We're gonna go into the factory, Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. If you're a PSA, you're the CEO of PSA. Watch out, guys. If Cage ever becomes CEO of PSA, the hobby's in good hands.
So this is why I'll never be the CEO of PSA. What would my strategy be when I reopen 7-1? So first of all, now that I'm closed, I don't reopen unless I'm ready to reopen, right? I've already taken this crazy, so the question assumes that I'm closed right now. I've already taken this crazy action of reopening. I am going to do test runs. So I'm going to pull out 100, 200, 1,000 of every type of order that comes in, whether it's Pokemon, whether it's, modern, vintage, you name it. And I'm going to grab a cross-section of my graders, and I'm going to find out exactly how many cards can be graded in a certain amount of time. And I'm going to extrapolate that over how many qualified graders I have currently in-house. And that's going to give me an idea of how many cards in each kind of genre I can grade with the amount of graders I have. It'll also let me know that I probably need to get some more graders in there when I can. But I'll know within a ballpark what my capacity is. Now, hopefully PSA already knows this, right? But here's the additional step that I would take. Going forward, that's all I would take in. All right, so on 7-1, I'm going to have most of my backlog cleared up. Let's hope. Otherwise, I'm not reopening, right? But at the very least, what I'm able to do there is make sure that the backlog doesn't get worse starting 7-1. if anything, as I add graders and I only take in as many as I have, we should catch up to the backlog. Then on 8-1 or 9-1 or 10-1, when we're completely caught up and we've got an increase in the amount of capacity of cards we can take in because we've already worked through the backlog, we can start slowly and gradually taking more cards in as we add staff. So the key here is, like any company, you have to know what your capacity is. And what has happened here is by opening the door and opening the floodgates and taking in anything, they took in too much. And it's a great thing for a company, right? It's a spectacular thing for the company. You never want to turn away business, right? Especially when there are so many competitors out there who will take it. But the problem, of course, is what they saw right now. They had to close. They had to stop taking it in because they just could not do all of what was coming in. So that's my deal. Like, it's funny, right? Right now, as far as I know, HGA is the only company that does this and limits to their capacity. They know how many they can grade, and they only take that many in, and they're increasing it gradually as they're able to take that capacity in. Take this for what it's worth, but if I were the CEO or if I was the head of PSA, I would take a page from that playbook, and I would make sure that I wasn't taking in more than I could handle. Oh, and by the way, one more. I would shut down the high-end stuff, and I would open up the low-end stuff. I would be bulk. I would find some way. Let's clarify this, okay? I would find some way, whether it's like the BCCG, you name it, I would find some way to have like a collector's club for grading. Because if people are not full of it, and there's a segment of the hobby that people are full of it, trust me, the ones that say, well, who are the kids? We got to get cards for kids in Target, but they don't want cards for kids. They want cards in Target that they can flip, right? There has to be a way that PC, get them in a slab, you name it, people who want to just slab their personal collection, at least that's what they say, right? People say, I don't want to pay $200 to slab this. I just want this card for myself. I'm not looking for reselling it. Okay. Well, there's got to be a way to have what you call it, a collector's club. The PSA vouchers system can only be for this. It's something that obviously people are going to know, and I don't know how you do this, but it's not a resale thing. You know what I mean? Like whether it's just no half grades, whether it's maybe for this, maybe they even do for the collector's club a different ABCD scale or something. You know what I mean? This way people realize, okay, it's slabbed, it's protected, it's graded, but it's like personal collection graded. Like I would try to figure out something like that. Do a focus group with kids, with people who are collectors who actually just want these cards for themselves. And I would come up with some other way of doing that I would bulk submit the hell out of it. The only problem is I think what I would find out there is that 90% of the people who say, I just want to slab it for my PC, I need to get it at $8 or $10 or $12, I need a bulk sub, that they're full of it. And that people wouldn't use it. People wouldn't use that ABCD personal thing. They're just trying to get a way to cheap sub everything that they could flip it themselves. So, listen, the conclusion on that one, because I love this question, thank you, Cardfather13, is they're in a tough spot, right? They get so much stuff in, and people are looking for them to do, a lot of stuff. And I think no matter what they do, there's going to be a segment of the hobby that says they're doing something wrong. On our thing, Nat Turner, when he was on, didn't exactly say he wouldn't do a black label at some point in time. He said everything was on the table, and yet when he was with this other dude this past week, I don't know, I don't listen to that. I don't listen to anybody but myself. But he was with that guy, and I think, the talking points that came out of it was that he's not doing like a black label PSA 10. So they don't even know, from month to month what they're doing changes. If he goes on another podcast with Joel Montanaz next week, he might say the black label's back on the table. You never know. So they got a lot of stuff that they're trying to figure out. Give them a pass.
If you had to give a prediction, what day do they open? Just the date. Pick a date.
Well, remember, they're open. Right? They would tell you they're not closed. They're open. If you want to pay the money to grade a card, you can grade a card right now. So they're open, and they have autographs they're taking in. They're just not taking in card grading at a price below $300 right now. I believe they will reopen in July, but they will not have any grading available under, let's say, $50 a card. Right? I don't think they'll have any kind of bulk or value submissions available. And I don't think that comes probably until the later quarter of this year. So they may reopen in July, but I don't think we're talking about September, October for any type of like lower end, grading that most of us would do.
All right, Drake's PC. Drake's on. He's on vacation. He's watching us from the beach in Florida, in Miami, actually, or
Look at this
Miramar.
guy. Good for
William
you,
Martin.
Drake. There you
Happy
go.
birthday to the Pack God.
Listen,
Uh,
it's not always pulling fire. We opened some stuff on Friday for his birthday, just so that everybody knows, because I should probably do like Callwood Relevant on this. But we opened 4 boxes of Chrome Bundesliga. We opened 2 boxes of Upper Deck Golf Artifacts, and basically turned about like $3K of sealed product into about $100 of raw cards. I mean, it was just basically garbage. But it's a fun rip. Having some fun. But I mean, like, I'll show you pictures of what we got, and it was just like we were like, oh, like each box progressively worse and worse. So. But for the most part, William Martin, he pulls fire.
Stay tuned, William, because MBT Sports Cards William, he asked a good question. You're gonna like it, but I'm gonna go to one question before it, and then we'll go to Will's. Okay, so this is a question from our live audience here. Okay, so Anthony Martorano, Cage, I just sold 3K this week and looking to buy. How much of it do I put into liquid flip trade bait type of cards, and how much of it do I put into long-term hold type of cards?
So
great question.
So two questions have to follow up, and that'll give me the answer, right? And then I'll try to do the best I can. Number one, what do you think about the market right now? Right? If you think that the market is going to, stabilize, it already has stabilized, there's bargains, we're in a dip and you want to buy, then that's going to change my answer for you. That's going to tell me put all 3K into it. If you think that the market is still going down and that's why you sold some stuff and have the 3K and you want to keep that money on the sidelines, obviously a different answer as well. That doesn't mean you have to jump right back in. Obviously something made you sell that 3K. It could just be because you wanted to get rid of some trade cards. Maybe you want to get rid of Luka before Game 7. Who knows, right? But that's question number one. Question number two is, where do you want to be? Right? Is it something where you get more fun in the hobby from flipping and doing like that daily or weekly or monthly, like trying to turn color up money? Or are you looking to take something that you had that was base or whatever it was that you sold for 3,000 and now put something in that's a long-term PC type of hold, and then, keep that and watch it kind of appreciate slowly over time? So, this kind of question, it's not the easiest thing. It really does depend on what you want to do with it, and what your kind of portfolio split is. But, I mean, if you're asking what I would do, if I believe that this is a dip right now, then pretty much anything is a good buy, right? And if you're looking to have some fun, right, and buy stuff at a low that in a couple weeks or a month or two you can sell, I would say put probably, if that's where you are, maybe 2/3, 1/3. Maybe buy yourself a nice card for $1,000. That's a longer term hold, and maybe use 2,000 to buy, maybe get into some football, maybe something that you want to buy quick now and sell like right as right before the season starts. That would probably be my split, how I would do it.
It's hard to time a bottom, isn't it, Cage?
Impossible.
I think as I get through these questions, right? Like we get questions, but there's also like a general like web that they weave. And the general consensus I have is people want to buy in. People have the money, but no one wants to buy in and have their card lose 30-40% of the value. It's back to what you always say, buy what you love, sure. But you don't want to buy what you love and then wake up in a week and it's 50% of what you paid. Then you're like, so I don't know if you agree with this, but if we could stay on this topic, I think it'll help our audience a lot. Like the long-term and short-term debt cycles, and how it ebbs and flows?
Yep. I
personally like to buy on the trend up line instead of trying to catch the bottom. Do you know what I'm saying? And maybe you could elaborate.
It's just what we just said. I mean, you don't have to catch that. And maybe you buy something 5 or 10% higher, but it's already now got that sustained head up, and you're buying on its way up, or at least you have a better chance of you're buying on its way up instead of buying, hoping that it's at the bottom. And then you have that potential, of course, that it just continues, that you haven't timed that bottom. So I'm with you. I always try to, wait and watch the pattern and see, stuff starting to move back up.
Trey is someone that's really interesting. I wouldn't say buy into Trey, but I would say Trey has found a bottom. And I'm curious because if the market keeps tanking, Trey will be taken down with him. But I think the market wants to buy back into Trey. So I would watch his market really heavily the next week to 2 weeks.
Well, Trey's an interesting cat, right? Because Trey, Trey could be fool's gold, right? So all the things that we're cutting against Trey going, during the season, that he's not a team player, doesn't really play much defense, you name it. The playoffs have almost kind of whitewashed that, right? Throw some perfume on the stink of that, because one, we always talk about Zion, Ja, Luka, Trey. Well, Trey's the only one left now, right? So that's big, that's huge. You can't discount that. But of all of them, the Knicks, I know we got a lot of Knicks fans here, and I want to root for the Knicks, but the Hawks just dismantled that team. That was, Julius Randle, he shouldn't win the 17th man of the year, let alone 6th man of the year, if the playoff performance came into it. That was just, it was, there was that team showed how they were young. They didn't have any real leadership on it. They leaned on Derrick Rose, and that guy did everything that he could do in that series. But, that's an easy one. And now, it looks like he's, got a good matchup against Philly, because Embiid doesn't look 100% there. He's playing, but he doesn't look 100% there. So that Hawks team played against the Clippers like Luka had to. It might be a different story. You know what I mean? Like, you remember where they are, remember what the story is. I don't think anybody really thinks that the Hawks are winning a championship per se. Stranger things have happened.
But they don't have to. I think if they beat the Sixers and have promise for next season, as well as Trey looking a little bit better, I think that could drive his market. His Top Shot market. That Trey only had, and the Hawks only had 4 nationally televised games all year.
Yep.
So what I'm realizing is, believe it or not, I would say the general public knows Luka's name a lot more than Trey.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, right? Everybody needs a hero and a heel, right? Everybody needs somebody to root for and somebody to root against. And
who's the hero heel in our scenario here?
You're both. So, but here's the thing, right? So, for whatever reason, Luka is viewed as the hero, and Trey, he's kind of owning that heel. He's owning that heel role. You know what I mean? Like, he had a whole ice tray, yelling at the fans, and the whole 9 yards. And look, for some people it works. For some people that works. But usually it's not the most favorable thing for hobby love, unless you're in wrestling. You know what I mean? You're wrestling cards and you're a heel. You can be all right. But that heel roll, that heel turn, in sports, it's usually not a good thing for your pricing. But yeah, man, listen, I'm with you. Trey, I probably gave Trey as a play 4,000 times. You know what I mean? During our play. Same as Ja. Just because their stuff has really gotten beaten up.
And just to finish on Anthony's question, he said he got some PSA slabs, 9s and 10s. He flipped them. He loves that. I would take 5%, $150, $200. Buy yourself something you really love. If that's a Marvel card or just a card that you're like, that's my card. Buy yourself something you love, and then follow Cage's advice on everything else.
Listen, Anthony, that's a great follow-up, because that makes it easy. The second sentence there is the key, right? He gets the most fun out of flipping and grading to add to his PC. I hope that when PSA opens up, they allow for us to do that again, because believe it or not, that was how I moved into, the collection I have now. Starting with very small, low-dollar stuff, using PSA, building it up, flipping those cards. And that was a lot of fun, right? And I hope that that's something that will continue. The prices on some base PSA 9s, 10s, that kind of stuff, it's not exactly, great selling right now. But yeah, pick whatever your sport is, right? Find a prospect. Do a little bit of research before just dumping that $3,000 you just got back in. If you're a baseball guy, do some research in the fantasy, like dynasty stuff. Who's going to come up during the season now that people haven't bought yet? Maybe try to find that person, right? And maybe if you're concerned, because it sounds like you made that money when the PSA grade and flip was something you could do, maybe take a look at Star Stock, because maybe you'll get that same rush, right? Maybe you'll be able to find a guy who's in Star Stock A who is the rookie that's going to come up this year in baseball, but you wouldn't be able to get that raw back in PSA 10 form. Maybe you buy it in Star Stock and you're able to flip it later in the season if you find the right guy. It's sort of the same kind of rush, the same kind of fun, energy, gambling, flip type of stuff that you got with the whole buy raw, grade, and sell after, without having to wait for PSA to open and send your stuff back.
We got Mike Gio in the house, Sports Card Nonsense Cage. He has a few questions for us.
Nice.
What's up,
man.
Mike?
That's it. He's going to tank the whole show. Mike Gio. Nah, we don't listen. We love the guy. I hope you don't even ask him anything hard.
Hair product. I'll start right here. I'll start basic. Hair product recommendations from you, Cage.
All right. So
Cage and Kristaps Porzingis have the same barber. Fun fact.
Maybe. I mean, we're both unicorns. No one does what we do. So I use a product called a glue in my hair here. It's a got to be. It's a nice little yellow tube. You can get it at any drugstore, Mike. I can go grab it and show you if you like. But you got CVS, Dwayne Reed, wherever it is. It's a glue. You just put it in there. You run a little comb through it. You're set. So Mari's wigs stand up to hurricane winds. Someone in the chat, name the movie.
Mike said you got the same shooting percentage as KP.
No way. My shooting percentage is single digits. Single digit, unless we're talking about the ladies. Then my shooting percentage is much higher.
Cage, where am I from? From Philly. I'm from Philly. Cage is New York.
Like Kamala, the Ugandan giant, he hails from parts unknown.
What does that mean? He said Adam McNanny, who is Cage's biggest fan. Adam and Cage have a brotherhood.
Dude, Adam, what's funny about that is, I grew up in Staten Island. I've seen more Aquanet than I care to admit. So that's awesome. That's good stuff.
Let's shift gears. Jokes serious. That's what we keep our audience guessing here. When was the last card? What was the last card you bought that you don't intend to flip? What was the last PC card? And no Top Shot, none of that. Like, I know you're setting crypto nudes and stuff. None of that. Just sports card.
So don't intend to flip is very difficult, right? So if I don't intend to sell, like most cards, I will sell at some point in time when they move up. A flip is a different story. So
you bought the Jordan without the intention of flipping.
Oh, I don't intend to ever sell that. So, but that's not exactly the most recent. But yeah, I bought the Jordan. PSA 10 definitely. I bought Joe Montana rookie. I bought a Jerry Rice rookie. I have no intention of really moving those anytime soon, even though they ran up tremendously from where I bought them, and now they've kind of both run down. I guess I should have sold them, but all of those they fall in that category. Okay, so I will give an answer on this actually.
What's a coffee with Cage? I'd hope so.
I bought no on this specific one, right? Because it bothered my brain. I bought a Tom Brady rookie recently in an auction. I bought it in an iconic auction, and it's not his typical one. It's not like one of the autograph ones. It's a Fleer metal one, which I like. It's got a cool picture. It's it's a horizontal rookie, and believe it or not, it's an SGC slab, but it's an SGC gold, the pristine. So there's only one of those. It's like so. It's a 1-of-1. It's not a numbered card. There's plenty of them.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up.
Pull it up if you can.
What's it called?
It's Fleer metal. It's Tom Brady Fleer metal. Just a Fleer metal base rookie. And it's SGC.
You were pretty pumped for this one.
Yeah, I was excited about it, and I definitely paid a premium over even PSA 10 prices for it when I bought it because I don't really have too much Brady. That's a cool looking card, and I like. We talk about PSA scarcity, population scarcity. That's the card, but that's a green one, not that. Oh, okay. So click in the middle. So green is like a parallel. That's the card. But I got it. Mine is in a SGC, pristine 10 gold label. Well, 1-of-1. So I'm getting into that whole scarcity of it, PSA scarcity, PSA 10 scarcity. But you saw when Kobe Refractor sold in BGS 10. There's only a couple of those. You saw how that price differentiated itself, even from what a PSA 10 or a non-black label BGS 10 would sell for. So I paid a little premium for it. And I have no intention of selling that anytime soon.
I think you're going to like this question. MBT, so Will asks, Luca Nation Fantasy Football. Can we make this a thing? Winner gets a hobby box of some sort.
Sure.
I never do fantasy football because I have an addictive personality, but I will join a Luca Nation fantasy football thing if you create it, Will.
Yeah, hey, Will, there you go. You just volunteered yourself. I will volunteer myself for putting up the hobby box.
Oh, look at the big brains on this guy.
That's it. I'll put the prize up, but I can't win it myself. I'll be in it. I'll play, but if I win, we'll do a break or something like that among everybody in the group. Cardboard
so let me read
Underground.
This. Cardboard Underground asks, what do you think it would take to see a resurgence? He qualifies a resurgence 25% or more in the big markets, LeBron, Luka, Durant. And he's specifically asking about the base rookie slabs. And I think you should differentiate between LeBron base and Luka base because those are two different criterias. But what do you think? What do you think it's going to take to see a resurgence in those cards?
Time, definitely time.
You said that to me today too. We need some time.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, that's the thing, right? That really is. It's going to take some time, right? I would not expect any of the PSA 10 slabs of their rookie base 10s to bounce back anytime soon, because I do expect PSA to continue to be grading these things. The one positive is I haven't really heard of anybody getting back these cards from PSA and being happy about their grades recently. No one's getting as many 10s back from PSA as they used to. I don't care what anybody says. They're just not. So that may temper it. And if the pop doesn't go up as much as it was going up, the same kind of rate, then you might see it. I'll throw a little curveball answer at this one here. What will make those go up? Remember, it is a supply and demand type of thing, right? And if you talk about like Luka with 20,000 Prism base PSA 10s out there, when all dust is settled, in order for that card to go up, you need significant demand. You need more demand than there is right now. There was less population of it available when it was $2,000 bubble time last season when he hit that shot, and the demand was through the roof, right? He hit that game winner. Everybody was watching it. The nation was glued to that. It was like the only thing that was going on. Everybody was home. That was where everybody went quick buy that Prism base. The market was hot. Cards were hot, and just everything came together perfectly, right? We would need that to happen again to see a significant uptick, especially on the Luka. But that doesn't mean I'm saying that can't happen, right? So there are things going on in the hobby right now that are positive for it, right? And Luka specifically, I'll throw this out there, right? Ken Golden, love you, man. He just followed us, reach out to Ken. He followed the podcast, follows me. Great auctions, great ambassador, one of many great ambassadors we have in the hobby. He's got a TV show he's talking about doing, right? And thank you to the couple hundred people who have reached out and said that I should be on his show. That's great. I have not reached out to Ken yet, but it is what it is. Maybe we'll see. So, he's going to do a TV show that is going to bring segments into the hobby that were not already in it. It's going to bring collectors in. It's going to bring demand, right? It's going to bring other people into the hobby, right? Believe it or not, as much as I crap on the ancillary sports that are out there, the fact that people are pumping up F1 and soccer and other sports, it's actually a good thing, right? Not for the people who are holding those in the beginning and we left holding those bags, right? But if soccer cards become a thing, right? That brings Europe into it, right? It brings Europe into cards, most likely to start with soccer. But who among us here started with one and stayed with one? There are probably very few of you, right? Except the basketball card guy. And even him, I bet you if we poke him enough, we'll find that he's got some Hank Aaron, some baseball cards, right? But if European markets and the Asian markets, we talked about, with Howley Hustle, Eric Myers, expanding to Asia, those markets come in, right? And they now bring demand for these cards. The European market, why wouldn't they want Luka, right? That would be sort of a trigger for price going up because that's more demand, even though there's a ton of supply. That's what you would need to, you said, what does it take to resurgence in that? That's what it would need. Durant's still playing. And now with Harden injured, he's out for game 2 and who knows how much longer. I've been crapping on Durant, saying Durant wins this championship. This is a bad one because he will have more here than anyone's ever had, right? But if he wins now with just Kyrie, you can make an argument that this championship is as good for him as LeBron's with Kyrie. You know what I mean? There's no Harden, So Durant, you could see an uptick, a temporary uptick, but you can see an uptick in his stuff as they proceed in these playoffs. And if they win as easily as some people think, and there's another championship, that could really help Durant. LeBron, man, let me tell you something about LeBron, all right? I know Andrew hates him, right? I know Andrew thinks he's one of the worst players to ever lace up sneakers. I'm just kidding, Andrew. Relax. He got so mad at me. I put the title of the episode, LeBron's not the best player on any of his championships. And he texts me. He's like, "What are you doing? You throw me to the wolves." Right? So
it was a question. It was a question.
You ready for this? I'm gonna be looking soon to be buying into the LeBron dip myself. That's Pure honesty.
Not after you
not
see
his,
the commercial where he says do you know what the movie's called? The Bunny and the Goat. He literally named the movie The Goat.
Okay. His stuff is going to come down. And I'm not talking about buying into one of his base chrome stuff. I'm going to try to find something real nice and have a LeBron piece in my collection. And I will be looking for a LeBron bargain soon because people are beating him up. And, I mean, he come back next year. Who knows what he's going to have? Go ahead, talk to me.
Your money where your mouth is.
Oh,
you guys all just heard that. I'm saying bullshit.
Okay.
He's not buying a LeBron card. Show us your buy. I'm saying you're not going to buy one. No chance.
Listen, today I came very close to listing the LeBron Top Shot. I know it's not a card, but obviously you know what that thing sells for. You know what it's worth. And I got a lot of people messaging me on Twitter to, make a deal with them, off market and the whole deal. And I listed it. I listed it for like 2 seconds. And I said to myself, you know what? If this sells, I'm actually not going to be that happy. Like, I'll regret selling this. I already sold 2 of them. I had 3. This is my last one. I don't want to sell it. And I took it down off the market. Now, that's not the same as buying a card. You're right. It's not the same as putting my money where my mouth is and buying a LeBron card. But the key here is, and this is why I don't call it bullshit, if his cards fall off a cliff, if people run away from his cards, and they started to already, right? I'm talking about if they continue to dip, I will definitely buy one. But guys, LeBron is one of those cards that's difficult for me to buy into. And I told you guys this because I was buying in 2018 his Chrome base PSA 10s for $1,000. One, not 40. One, right? Not 12 as a bargain, not 15 as a bargain. One, and selling them at 2,500. So it's very hard. Like, I didn't keep one. It's very hard to get back in. It's tough to wrap my brain around that. So LeBron's a little tough one, but go for it, man.
Drake's PC asks, will new entrants always gravitate to base cards, or do you think they will keep getting smarter?
You know what, Drake? I'm going to throw something out there for you. You're not going to hear this anywhere else because I'm not one of the talking heads. Buying low pop and autos, RPAs, buying low pop cards, that does not make you smarter. It doesn't, right? So sticking to base cards is not smarter. And I will say one other thing. You can, if you time it right, if you get lucky, if you get out without trying to squeeze every dollar out of it, you can make money following the masses. You can be that lunatic who runs on stage at the Bitcoin convention with his Dogecoin shirt and does a Doge to the moon dance. You can make money being that guy. You can follow the masses and make money. But ultimately, what winds up happening, if you're in bed with everybody, with Joe Public, if you stay too long, you will lose money. Right? You will lose. And right now what we're seeing is people are running those low pop cards up now. Everybody's buying them. Everybody thinks that's what you got to do with them. That's what you got to do. But remember, that was a talking point of somebody else first. Just like Pokemon was, just like vintage basketball was, just like F1 is now, just like tennis was. It was, hey, everybody, take your base money and move it into those autos. Take your base money and move it into RPAs. Well, guess what? Enough people do that, the price is going to go up. The people who are telling you to buy them, they're going to start selling them. All right? And when they sell them, the rest of you are bag holders, just like you are now with the base cards. So it's not, I wouldn't call it smarter, right? In a year from now, the pendulum might swing back to buying base cards as the smart thing to do. Or maybe by then, the pumpers are telling you to buy doodles again. I have no idea. So
I've wanted to say this for a while, and I think it's a good place to insert it. When I first got into the hobby in 2018, I had like 3 Giannis Prism cards and a few kind of ancillary cards. Let's call that like 1 or 2% of my collection.
Yep.
Then as the cards started accumulating wealth and that snowball that I talk about, I eventually had 5, 10, 20, 30, 40% of my collection in wealth, my money in the collection, kind of waiting up. I think that hasn't happened. And I think that's the next level because the new people that have come in, they've lost so much value. They haven't wanted to redeposit and they haven't been able to redeposit their gains. The way that I got so involved in the hobby was I just reaccumulated gains and I let the snowball do its thing. I think right now when people are sitting a little bit underwater, they don't want to redeposit new money and they don't have gains. So that's why you kind of see a little bit of a stagnant market.
Drake, it really depends, right? I mean, think about it. What everybody's talking point was all these companies coming in where we're going to create stocks we're going to create a liquid stock market for cards, right? The easiest way to do that is with base cards. And that's why the base cards became the thing, right? Because it became like everybody was in a rush to make sports cards into sports betting and stocks for cards, right? And the way to do that, you have to have something that's liquid, something that is easy across all the boards, right? You can't make a liquid stock market on RPAs out of 50. It's just not possible. So if that trend continues, if all these companies, all these vendors, all these people, all these companies who are coming in who are looking to make a stock market and turn sports cards into a sports betting type of thing, base cards won't go away. The pricing of them, is probably going to tail off, and everybody's got to look at the population, the whole deal. But base cards will be the way, I think, the easiest way for new entrants to continue to get into the hobby. Happy Sunday,
Tracy. Happy Sunday, Cage. What's your IG?
What's my Instagram?
Yes.
It's Cage Lawyer, but we put Luca Nation Cage Lawyer in there now. So
Luca Nation _ Cage Lawyer.
Yeah, you could find anybody who's got the little orange tiger stripes around us. And guys, I have a dream. I have a dream for you guys. My dream is tiger stripes for all of you. Like I have a takeover for Instagram.
No filtering process. No tryouts.
We want
just participation trophies for everybody.
Listen, we're honor system. When people buy a cyberpunk and they put their cyberpunk, their crypto punk, and they put their punk up there, and they put it as their avatar for Twitter. There's no governing body that says show me that you actually own that. But if you're a Luca Nation guy. Yeah, I think I got a vision, man. I got a vision of Instagram filled with orange tiger stripe Luca Nation guys. Tell me what you think about that idea, guys. Maybe we'll roll that out. I love it.
Let me throw something back at you. This is one of your biggest fans. This is someone Dennis Patrick Zender. Ring a bell?
Yeah, I love Dennis Patrick Zender.
Okay.
I'm not going to put names are usually difficult. The 3 names, normally 3 names are associated with people who assassinate people. But this guy, I'm going to hold him in a higher regard, right? I'm not going to say it's like Lee Harvey Oswald. It's like 3 names, usually bad things. But this guy, good things. Go.
Sing Freedom Froy. Just kidding. We need a hobby association with an elected commissioner and board. Free membership and candidates can be voted in by proxy. We need official representation to barter at the table of Topps, Panini, grading companies, auction houses, etc. I believe you get a few major players in the hobby behind it. Card Ladder, you guys, Card Porn. And it could gather steam. Thoughts? A governing body elected by the people.
Listen, I love the idea, right? I love the idea, but it's not. Give me something that's similar, right? In an employment space, it sounds like a union. This way you can negotiate and stuff. But in a consumer perspective, unless we're talking about less negotiating, but more policing. Unless you're talking about like a Better Business Bureau for the hobby per se, which by the way, you can Better Business Bureau, these companies. Unless you're talking about like consumer reports or somebody who's going to like write up, reviews and stuff. I don't think Topps or Panini, no matter who we get in there, they may listen to you. They may take some of your suggestions in, but it's not like they're not going to negotiate pricing or anything with us. It's a cool idea. It's definitely a cool idea, but I don't know. I think, I will tell you when it comes to sports cards, and I've been doing this for a long time, Dennis Patrick Zender, I'm a free market guy. I really am. Right. And I think that the market will bear whatever the market will bear and it gets corrected. I just hope that doesn't turn into just a huge bubble burst like we had sort of, after the huge production numbers of the late 80s and early 90s. I think, if people can behave at Targets without pulling weapons for their Pokemon cards, eventually those stuff will come back to Target and Walmart, and hopefully, the market will correct, and, those will be available for people who want to buy them. And, maybe Panini will start doing more Dutch auction type stuff. I just think it's better to let the market decide what stuff is worth. Where I think the stuff should be targeted, believe it or not, is more on your distributors than on your Panini and your Topps. I think it's more on that level, the middleman. I think that's the story. I think that your middleman might actually be where I would address some of my my negotiating power on if we ever form something like this. But before we move to the next question, thank you for including us in that. Thank you for for saying that we would be a worthy addition to such a board. We appreciate that.
I'm gonna ask my question for you, Cage.
Oh yes,
you're gonna like this. think it's a good time. You want to read it? Or do you want me to read it?
It says, so I am Andrew Goldberg, who, by the way, even though he is the founder of Luca Nation Network,
he's going to put me on blast here.
Does not have Luca Nation on his Instagram name. He's the only one. He's just I am Andrew Goldberg. No Luca Nation. Told me to do it. I did it. Doesn't have, but that's okay. It's okay. He is Andrew Goldberg, so it's a good name for him. Why do you think Gary V is so polarizing to the hobby community? Either people bash him for pumping, or others think he is crucial to the hobby to bring attention. It's a great question. It is a great question. And I think, believe it or not, it's a pretty easy answer. Anybody who has that much of a following is never going to have all fans or all haters. It's part of the necessary thing, right? I mean, I think if you're doing something right, you're going to have people who are going to call you out. And I think you have people who are gonna tell you that you're doing something wrong. The interesting thing about it from a Gary perspective is this. The hobby is a different thing for him. And these NFTs are a different thing for him because to the best of my knowledge, and we'll go back a couple years, Gary has put content out there, whether it's wine reviews, obviously a review with an eye towards someone buying wine, wine talk, videos, and the other, videos he's doing, garage sale videos. Like he was not in his garage sale videos. He was not telling people, here's the garage sale to go to. And by the way, I want you all to go out and buy these mugs, right? Or better yet, I went to a garage sale. I think everybody's underestimating the value of these mugs. Everyone should buy milk mugs on eBay right now. And it was 3 weeks after he hit 47 garage sales and bought every milk mug and listed them on eBay himself so that he could make a profit on it, right? Whether intentional or not. The difference between all of that content that he had, where he was providing a lot of free content, a lot of messaging, a lot of motivation, a lot of like, this is how I did it, this is what I do, I'll give you the tools to fish. Once he got into the hobby, right? And then we'll talk about the V-Friends next. But once he got into the hobby, it was a very different scenario. It was, hey guys, look at these, undervalued. And you knew he had them. You knew they were his, right? And you knew he had a fan of Mookie Betts, a stack of Devin Booker, a whole bunch of Luka, a whole bunch of LeBron, and he was taking pictures. Now, give him the benefit of the doubt. He was taking pictures because he was having fun. He was enjoying buying these cards. He wanted to show off what he was buying. But whether he knew or not, and I'm going to say he probably knew, when he showed those things off, it was going to have an impact. People do what their influencers
a financial
tell them to
impact
do.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's going to have an impact on the value of what he's showing. Now, a financial impact is a different story, right? And I want to be careful here, right? Because if you believe Gary, he was not selling any of these things. He was showing them off, right? He was saying, this is what I have. And he claims he hasn't really sold much of any of his stuff, right? So, and if that's the case, then he can say, look, I was just showing it off. I never profited on any of this stuff, right? Someone else might have profited, right? I'm just pointing out that this is, now keep in mind, the not selling thing is an interesting thing in the hobby, right? Because if he was sitting with a huge percentage of Apple stock and tweeted, I love Apple stock. Apple stock's the greatest thing on earth. You name it. And then people bought Apple stock, whether he sold it or not, he's increased the value of his holdings, right? Like it's an interesting thing. At some point in time, he sells it and he's now increased it. Interesting, right? Wrong, right? I don't know. Maybe he's telling
it's
people
blurry.
about. So
that's why Dennis Patrick Sender wants a regulatory body.
But where it gets fun, right, is even with that, he wasn't asking any of his followers to do anything. He wasn't monetizing the following at all, right? This V-Friend thing became an interesting little difference, right? Because he was actually saying, I'm going to make something myself and I expect you to buy it, or I think you should buy it. I'm going to also say benefit of the doubt, altruistic. I think he probably really believes in the product and really thinks that anybody who buys it now is going to make money over time. And there probably have been people who have already made money, selling those things in the secondary market. But the hobby, the NFTs, you name it, I think he has kind of, I don't want to call it a U-turn, but he's definitely made a left. It used to just be, here's my content, here's my content, here's my content. Now it's, here's what I'm buying, here's what I'm making, here's what, and you have to know that people are going to, act on that. So why do I think Gary Vee's polarizing? I think that's probably why. I think that's the story, right? I mean, now on the positive side, I think it's a very good thing that he's in the hobby. We talked about like Europe getting into the hobby. We talked about like soccer and F1 and that stuff. I would give him a lot of credit.
Australia's audience growing.
Yes. I'd give him a lot of credit for a lot of the boom that we've had in this hobby over the last couple of years, right? I mean, you'd be a little naive to think that that there would be as many eyeballs on this, and just coincidentally, the market has gone up the way that it did exactly right after he said, "Hey guys, sports cards, this is a thing. Look at the Michael Jordan, look at the Charizard, look at this, look at these cards." I mean, you'd kind of be silly to think that he didn't impact it that way. I've been to card shows, and this question is funny because people talk about it, be like, "Oh, that guy Gary Vee, blah blah blah." But it's the same thing I talk about, where it's the young kids walking around with their card cases. Those are people who are in it most likely because of him influencing it, right? So I mean, if you ask me where I fall on it, I'm going to fall on the positive. I know I give a hard time every now and again, but I'm going to fall. I think on balance, he's done way more good for the hobby, way more good. And a lot of people are in the hobby solely because of him. I think so that's part of it. Now, the people who are negative on him, they're the people who are going to be negative anyway. Those are people who never wanted PSA to be there. Those are people who never wanted this stuff to change. But he says it himself, and I agree. If you go to the National 3 years ago as opposed to the National, what's going to be like this year, it's a worlds of difference. And I think he's
got to be good for the hobby, right?
He's a lot of the reason for that. Yeah, I think so.
Kyle, what's up, man? This is a good question for Cage. Ian just pulled one of these. Sell or hold Trevor Lawrence autos? Seems there's a lot out there.
There does seem to be a lot out there, especially because, I think, what was it, Topps, I think, did their own little release of his, like a Trevor Lawrence, their own kind of, their own Trevor Lawrence release. Yeah, I mean, listen, I got to tell you, Ian pulled one just out of one box of Optic, and I was feeling around on the pricing on it, and I was like, you know what, it's just worth, hanging on to this. This was a cool card. We might as well just hang on to it. It's something we pulled, and if he has a great season, great. But I'll tell you, on balance, if you're asking me for your stuff, if you can get a decent amount of money for a Trevor Lawrence auto now, I would sell it, because the autos that are out now are college uniform. And every year, those college uniform ones go down when the pro uniform ones come out. Even the one I have, it's a Contenders, but it's not Contenders with his Jaguars uniform. It's Contenders with his Clemson uniform. And yeah, there are people out there who'll tell you, "Oh, people collect schools," and I'm sure there's a couple Clemson, collectors, but there's way more pro uniform Trevor Lawrence collectors. So
nobody collects schools.
So I would sell these things when you can still get some money on them.
Mike Knowlton, what's the best MJ insert to buy during this dip? I actually gave one last night. The 1998 Topps Chrome back-to-back. I thought it was cool. I don't know if it's the best. I don't know. But funny you bring that up. That.
Listen, the MJ inserts, what's funny about them is it just depends on what you like. Honestly, there's so many of them because the 90s were just basically full of inserts. If you can get yourself a nice Scoring Kings, at a discount, that's my favorite. You can buy yourself with the Lightning Strike and the whole deal. Maybe a Beam Team if you can get one. Refractor if you can get one. Total D is a pretty cool card, very condition sensitive, and the Yankees cannot win a game, man. First inning and Verdugo takes.
Stay with us. Forget about that.
Oh man, they are just terrible. So man.
It's the first inning.
Doesn't matter, man. They can't beat the Rays. They can't beat the Red Sox. Go back to my baseball.
It's the first inning.
I said the Red Sox were going to be good. Red Sox, man, yeah, good team. So any of those, right? So MJ is a good place to buy, right? Because when the whole market goes down, everything goes down, and there's no reason for a Michael Jordan card to go down, right? So it's kind of like what you were talking about with Trey, right? Like Trey should be going up, but if the market goes down, the market pulls everyone down, even somebody who's performing at the highest level right now. That is a good place to look for for where to put some money. MJ especially.
All right. Ian gets priority. It's his birthday weekend. So give us a second here. I'm going to pull up a good question.
I guess.
Cage,
gotta go
sports
pitch.
card.
Gotta go pitch wiffle ball when I'm done here.
All right.
Nuggets coming out
How much time we got? How much time do you think? 15, 20?
Listen, we got a lot of questions, so I will answer them all. But when we're done, there's still light out here. I love this. Sports card nonsense. Great questions, man. You come on anytime you like. Nuggets coming out of the West, Joker time or what? I am not a believer in Joker. I'm not. I think he had a great season. I think when all comes down to it, he will be one of the weakest MVPs that have ever come out of the NBA to win the MVP. From a statistical standpoint, just from a repetitive standpoint, when you look back 10, 20 years from now and you say this guy was playing at the time, LeBron was playing, Luka was playing, Giannis was playing, Kawhi was playing, Steph Curry was playing, all these guys were playing, and somehow Joker won the MVP. I think we'll look back at that and say, really? Like, really? One MVP, one season?
How about I give you a comp?
What, Derrick Rose?
Dirk Nowitzki.
I mean, Dirk's great, though. Dirk Nowitzki. You think Joker's going to finish in the top 10 scorers all time in the NBA? That's what Dirk is.
Jokic is very young. He's 26, 27 years old.
Okay. I'm not a buyer in somebody who does it one time. All right, he does it next year, I'll believe in him. And I don't think the Nuggets are coming out of the West. I think we just saw the best team in the West win in Game 7. I would not bet against Kawhi in the West until one of those other teams does something. And I'm not a buyer. So Joker's great. I'm not a buyer in MP Jesus. No way. That's not my guy. That's not my name. That's not my name. MP Jesus, not mine. I don't believe in Devin Booker because I don't believe Chris Paul can stay healthy. I don't believe in the Jazz because at some point in time, Rudy Gobert is going to do something stupid, like a microphone, whatever it is going to happen, and I don't buy him either. So until Kawhi gets knocked out, I'm going to ride Kawhi on this stuff. So
let me give you a combo to get Cage in this mood. So rip boxes and get nothing to come out the pack. Yankees losing. And you mix that with a blend of junk food, and you've got this disaster that we're seeing in front of us.
Disaster. I'm being honest. This is honesty. People want to hear, I bought Joker cards, so invest in Joker. People want to hear MPJ is great. Nobody wants to hear Kawhi because nobody buys Kawhi cards because they think he's an ass.
Joker's really good.
Yeah, I'm sure he's great for one season. Derrick Rose was great for one season, too. Everybody happy they held on to his cards. Blake Griffin was great for a season or two also. Everybody happy they held on to his card. Do it over again. I'll buy Joker next year. Win something. Do something. For more than 1 year. And I'll buy into you.
You bought into Devontae when he had a half a good game.
Dude, I bought Devontae because he was $3. You can't buy Joker for $3. That's a difference. That's very different. I didn't.
Do you remember I gave Joker last year? Do you guys play? Do you remember that?
I do. It's such a silly card. He's like, this is whole. I'm not a Joker buyer.
You can't get your hand that high.
Nah, man. This is I'm an old man. I need to get some
top shot question. Top shot question. Don't kill us. Top shot question. Top shot. Cough Star asks, why does NBA Top Shot continue to reward whales 2,500 collector score for premium drop?
It's funny that's a high number. I barely make that number, and my account's in like the top 10%.
Dude, my account is top 5%, top 0.05%, and I'm not in the score
because it's not.
And I have a Beal Series 1.
It's not based on value of your collection. It's based on the amount of moments you have, because each moment has a certain collector score. So even though like I have a LeBron gold that's worth X, if I wanted to, I could buy 10,000 Series 2 moments, same price, same value, and my collector score would be huge. So it's not really about like rewarding the whales per se, although trust me, yes, it's a high score. They want collectors. They want people who have moments, people who have they're giving bonus points for people who completed challenges. Right? Like Cool Cats Master, they're automatically in no matter what your score is. So I wouldn't go as far as to say whales, although clearly the whales are going to be in this. But it's people who have been collecting long enough where they completed challenges, they held on to their stuff, they've bought across different platforms, they've held stuff Series 1 moments, and they're buying those things that are worth more points. But yeah, listen, Capstar, it's like everything else, right? Like I said with PSA, you're not going to be able to please everyone. When they gave that master key to the Cool Cats people who have all lost thousands of dollars since January, completing each one of these challenges over and over again, they were all mad. Most people who completed are like, this is not a real bonus for us. This is not worth anything. I mean, come on. We get access to a queue, but not actually a guaranteed pack just for the next 5 or 6 during season 2. And the other side of the equation is like, how could you do that for them? That's too much. Why are you rewarding those whales? So really, it's like anything else, right? No matter what, it's very hard to please everybody. I try to please Andrew, and that's just one person. I can never do it. So, it's
I'm
one of
getting
those
destroyed
things.
by mosquitoes right now, like literally in the middle of this. Jared Trainer 23S, who do you have for Adesanya Vettori? If you're not to fight.
Yeah, it is Adesanya until there's only one person who's going to beat Adesanya, and it's Father Time. And fall time has not caught up to him yet. The skill set's there. The guy he's electric. He's just one of those guys that I don't see losing until the sport catches up to him. Sort of like a John Jones type of talent. He really is. Like he can beat you from anywhere. So I'm out of Sonya all day on that one. Good question though. I'd love to mix up some sports.
All right. Let me see.
I think we might be getting this. I also have Floyd Mayweather tonight. I know there's not supposed to be a winner declared, but you can't have a knockout, right? But there's no way Floyd Mayweather, who doesn't lose to anyone, is going to allow him to be lost. Oh, there you go. Card for 13 prediction. So I'm pretty sure most sports books that are taking bets on this, if it goes the distance and there's no winner declared, it's a draw and you get your money back, right? Or it's a push or whatever, so you get your money back. So I would be betting. I mean, this is one of those things. I'm not a bettor, and I can't go down this road because forget about it. I'm one of those addicted personalities. But if I were a bettor and I had money in an account somewhere to bet, I would be betting on Floyd all day, right? Because I just think it's like a free bet, really. I think he could potentially knock out Logan Paul. I don't think he's going to lose. I don't think he's going to have a loss on his record, and it beats a Logan Paul. There is always the chance that they make it look good. He dances with him for a little while. You know what I mean? I think he really carried Conor. Probably get some hate on this one too, but I think if Floyd wanted to put Conor away, he probably could have earlier. I think it's an exhibition, and there's a lot of money in this. There's a lot of money in this for both of these guys. It's amazing how, this is what the sport has evolved to. I wouldn't expect Floyd to go out there and knock him out in 13 seconds because that would kind of be the end of the whole influencer boxing thing. But yeah, I mean, this is one where, because you can have knockouts, like the only way I see this ending as not a push is a Floyd knockout, a Floyd win. I don't think Logan Paul knocks out Floyd Mayweather, although I guess stranger things have happened, right?
I think obviously this is exhibition, et cetera, but like just the general rule of thumb for all of these, there's a huge difference between professional and college. There's a huge difference between college and amateur. And there's a huge difference between undefeated and the best boxer or one of the best boxers of all time and a YouTube guy. As much as he trains. Because what people don't understand is, I'm not even going to go this route. The guy's boxed 40,000 hours in his life. Yep. And Logan Paul, okay, he's trained really hard for 3 months. It's just the muscle memory. It's just you're always going to be one step behind. Of course, this is exhibition. An HGA question.
Right. By the way, Freudian slip, guys. This guy works out twice a day, and his head has grown like humongous. And so he's probably on that whole human growth hormone. He looks a little like Manny Ramirez right now. Yeah, I'm just kidding. All
natural. I would want to do HGH, by the way. So if there's any good doctors out there, hit me up. But no, all natural, straight up. Why does HGA use letter and number combinations on their certs? I do love the fact they're literally right now. It's when they spell things wrong, Cage. It confuses me. I apologize. Let me get the gist of this.
The certs have letters and numbers on it. Listen, everybody is out there trying to fake things. So the more you can do it, it's like your password, right? The more you can throw wrinkles into it, and not let somebody steal your identity and fake a slab, the better. So
that's the gist.
That's the gist of it.
No, I don't understand what he was asking, so I couldn't paraphrase, and I don't want to.
Might as well end it on that. I mean, why not? Might as well end it on that fun one. Listen, for everybody who has joined on the live, thank you guys very much. For everybody who submitted questions today, we really do appreciate it. What makes this the best episode is your questions. We get to interact with you guys. We get to answer your questions. I really don't do any prep for this. I don't look on Instagram at all to see what the questions are. I really want to give you kind of like a, hey, top of my head, this is what I think. Andrew thinks that's me mixing junk food and bad box opening. But I mean, look, some guys, I'm going to give you my opinion on it, right? It'd be very easy to go middle of the road, like that Joker question. I mean, he may be very, very good, but I don't own a single Joker card, and I'm not going to be owning any Joker cards probably ever. So,
last question. Can we get to it?
Yeah, shoot.
I sent this as a private message, but there may be others out there who have seen this. You guys mentioned the possibility of a digital grader online, and I use cardboss.com. I was curious about your thoughts on it. I've submitted some SGC 9s and 9.5s that I took pictures of and submitted. They came back to me as 9s on the website. I also submitted a PSA 8, and it came back as 7. Interesting pre-submission technique if you think it's worth it, like the virtual graders.
Yeah, I mean, it
Literally.
depends. Listen, it all depends on the pricing of it, right? I mentioned that as like a cool, like, business to get into, a cool app to create and that kind of stuff. It sounds like there are some of them out there already. The difficult part with it, like with anything, is right now, your camera on your phone and whatnot, it can only do kind of a cursory review. No one's going to be able to really look at like the surface to see if there's surface scratches and what the story is. Centering, sure. Corners, probably. But I think what we're seeing from PSA now is that they're really going much further than that. And these companies that have the money, not startups who are creating apps, they're the ones that have these high tech scanners and these ones where they're really spending the money and putting the tech involvement. Jenna Mint with PSA, and they're really doing what they can to kind of make sure that they're really doing a good job of evaluating these cards. And I think a lot of these like app type stuff, the cursory review, they'll probably miss some of it.
I'll say real quick, I love when this happens, Cage. This is like a come up with Cage moment. So
Nice,
one
let's
of
do
our
it.
fans in the audience, T-Bone 385, wanted to give a shout out. He says, guys, you got to take a look at this. So it's Ziggy's No Sports Cards Daily. Ziggy Knows Sports Card Daily. He says a great show, great YouTube channel. So go check that out. I think
Listen,
an app that searches.
Ziggy, if you're out there, send me a message and we'll bring you on the show. We'll have to come up. If he's as good as our nation says, if guys in Luga Nation like it, we'll support it.
Just it's a 15-minute episode. 5 minutes of it is Cage's intro. So just be prepared. I think an app that is able to spot defects, those like little dimples. I don't know if you've seen, PSA has been cracking down on those, like the not a scratch, but like the little dimple
bubble
that comes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, those are the ones that have been getting crushed recently, and those are the ones that previously I think PSA didn't care as much about.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's another episode.
Print lines go across and the whole deal, but yeah, we could definitely talk about that. But yeah, guys, listen, my favorite episode of the week. We love you guys chiming in. We love you guys getting involved in this stuff. Keep the questions coming. If we didn't get to your question, send us a message and we'll try to answer it on the. Yeah, please go ahead.
In only the way you can. Let's keep it 30, maybe 90 seconds max. Give us your summary on what happened with this Babe Ruth card. Put a bow on it. Put it in a knot. Tie it up. Dovetail it. All of your favorite. Summarize it for our audience. It could be simple. It could be 5 seconds, Cage.
It can never be 5 seconds. You know me better than that. My dovetail, what happened with the Babe Ruth. What happened with the Babe Ruth is not done yet, right? Because why I'm buying into the fractional share model with Rally, Collectible, you name it, is that there is governance. There is regulatory on this, right? The SEC is involved. Yeah, Sanchez. What it looks like if he's not, come on, hit a double. Let's go. We had bases loaded. Sanchez. See, nothing could take 5 seconds. All right, 2-1. Let's go. Hate these Red Sox. But so anyway, eventually, before this offering comes out, so there was a big notification before this offering comes out. It's got to pass muster with the SEC, right? And they're going to have to qualify it as an offering, right? They're going to have to give it a blessing, right? And if they do, and it's regulated and everything's kosher, all good. You know what I mean? Like that's the key, right? So what I don't want missed, forest for the trees kind of stuff here is that's a cool thing that fractional adds, right? And, I think that is something in the hobby that's going to move the hobby continued forward, right? It's going to bring some of these items that otherwise would never be available or never show off or never change hands out of closets, out of the mothballs, and it also provides a way for owners of these cards to create liquidity in their cards, to sell and hold portions of the cards, you name it. I think it also allows to unlock some of the value of some of these cards, right? Like there's a PSA 10 Mickey Mantle. There's 3 of them, right? Like the 3 guys who own those will probably never sell them. But maybe fractional is a way to convince one of them to sell a piece of it. And then you have price discovery on that card, which you never otherwise would. And that impacts the market. So I think fractional is a great thing, going forward. It will allow, things to happen in the hobby that otherwise wouldn't have. I think the important thing is for those guys to kind of remain above reproach We're happy Ezra came on and Collectible came on and did a further bit of explanation. Happy that the SEC is in there to kind of regulate the whole thing. That's my summary on it. What happened. We'll see. Right now that card has not been offered. And, if it does get offered, that means that everything was done, above board and with the blessing of the Securities and Exchange Commission. If not, it says it wasn't. So we will see, right? The final chapter in the saga still has to be written, I guess. All right.
I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for supporting us. A new week, month of June. Appreciate you guys and have an amazing rest of your weekend.
Thanks, everybody.